mean, we have access to history instantaneously in a way that's never existed before, and we seem to be learning less.
I know. It's one of those
weird.
dichotomies that is it's very odd. And we all thought when you could carry the internet around in your pocket with that first iPhone,
Yeah.
I mean, you thought, oh, when we have a discussion and someone says, no, it's this, it's this. Guess what? We don't have to argue about it. We can look it up right here. And it's going to be great because we can solve all these arguments immediately. And what did it do? Well, it just snowballed into this thing where it divides us even further rather than someone saying, oh, look, I was wrong. Oh, yeah, it says it right here. Yeah. No, it just divides us even further. And of course, advent of social media, it's a tool. And any tool can be used for productive purposes or as a weapon. And we have weaponized social media for sure to divide. And who benefits? Well, politicians that need to galvanize bases, of course, and the social media companies themselves who have lobbyists in Washington who pay a lot of money to these politicians. And it's a whole ecosystem. And so being aware of it, I think, is the first step. So for our kids, I talk about it with them. And I always ask the question, how am I being manipulated here? Which is kind of a cynical way to look at things, but you kind of have to today. And then with the advent of AI, that's a whole another side of it, like figuring out what is truth and what is not, and what's been made up, and what podcast is real and what's not. It's a crazy situation, but I want the kids to know that even if they're following somebody on social media, like a person, that's an advertisement for that person and their life. And you can see time and time again, beautiful families out there, and they're showing here we are in Aruba or whatever, and here we are with our Easter photo together. And then the next week there's their divorce and there's abuse and there's all that, and it's like, this whole thing was all a farce.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, so that's an advertisement, just like a company.
When I see someone doing something like that, I always assume that you're trying to sell me something.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, come on, why are you trying to sell me your relationship so good?
Exactly. Well, how am I being manipulated right here?
It's one thing, it's Mother's Day. She's such a great mom. Okay.
Yeah.
But how many days a week are you doing that?
Right.
You have the perfect family, you have the perfect life, you have the perfect this. It's like you're trying to sell it to people instead of just living it. And it's a very weird thing that we're doing that never existed before, so there's no real roadmap of how to navigate it correctly.
Exactly. It's kind of like when you have a psychologist or a psychiatrist on, and they're really getting into your life maybe, or they're out there giving advice, giving all this advice, and then you find out that in the background they're a total disaster, and they're a crazy person. That happens more often than not. Not sorry to psychologists and psychologists out there, but it's true.
Oh, it's very true. I mean, there's a lot of doctors out there that are extremely unhealthy. There's a lot of weird stuff going on in this world where there's people that are experts in giving advice, and they
I know, it's tough.
I think about that a lot when I talk. I'm like, man, better not be full of shit.
I know, it's tough. And how are you supposed to check all this? It's a full-time job checking on this stuff, and it's wild. But for the kids, it's the toughest. Like, our daughter just missed it. She's 17, so she got a little bit of it. But I think
she grew up with the internet.
She grew up with the internet, but she didn't grow up with the amount of input that these kids are getting now at age 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
TikTok
Exactly.
era.
She just missed that.
Yeah.
So our little guy who is 12 is hitting that side, and they're pretty sly. Our little guy out there, he's a smart one, so he can figure out ways around the blocks and all these other sorts of things. So it's interesting time for parents, tough time I think for parents, and tough time for kids.
I think it's always been a tough time for parents and always been a tough time for kids. And these are just unique challenges that exist, but every era has unique challenges.